All right, we're on air. It is Thursday, July 13th. Thank you all for joining the Backdrop Weekly Developer Check-in meeting. Things we're working on. Oh, wait. Most importantly, updates from the PMC. Same update as last week. We have a current issue opened by folks at the Software Freedom Conservancy, letting everybody in the Backdrop community know what's going on with our fiscal sponsorship agreement. We've had a lot of really great feedback on there so far. We have nobody that seems to be against it. We've had a lot of good questions that were answered both by Nate and by Karen from the Software Freedom Conservancy. If anyone else has any thoughts, they need to receive all feedback by tomorrow, Friday, July 14th. And if they don't hear anything that sounds like opposition, we will proceed with the agreement. So far it looks really good. But if you have concerns, this is your chance to get them addressed before we enter into that.
Yeah, perhaps I could reiterate kind of some of the advantages during this call, or should we just refer people to the issue?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, so the full document they've posted there kind of summarizes the relationship of how the Conservancy works with a particular project or a member, as they call it. But to summarize, the primary reason why we're looking for help is fiscal sponsorship. There's also legal sponsorship as well. But fiscal is really the primary driver for our joining the Software Freedom Conservancy. And I posted in that issue an explanation of the way that it works right now, that right now all donations that we receive, well, I should say most donations that we receive, if they're a large enough value, then both the person who gave the money and the person that receives the money has to report that information on their taxes. And what that's done in years past is that shows up on my personal income as taxes. And then when the end of the year rolls around, I have to pay a tax rate of 25% on income that is a donation from Backdrop. Or a donation that other people have made to Backdrop. It has to be reported as income somewhere. And so it shows up as income on my taxes. And with the Software Freedom Conservancy, instead of the money going to me personally, it goes to the Conservancy. And the Conservancy is a 501c3 organization, meaning that they don't pay taxes on their revenue or donations such as that. And in addition, the person that donated the money can deduct that money from their taxes, from their personal income. So it makes it so that right now, like, we pay a tax rate of 25%. And with the Software Freedom Conservancy, they'll take 10% of our annual revenue. So it makes it so that instead of paying 25%, we're paying 10%. And in addition, those who are giving money to Backdrop can also deduct that money. So it's it turns all of the money basically into less money that is given to the government and more money that goes towards the project, because it makes it so that all money being exchanged is considered a donation on all sides. And we've been calling them donations, but in truth, like, we didn't have the legal standing to do that. After joining the Conservancy, there'll be just more funds going towards the project and less funds going towards taxes.
There were donations.
That's a good summary.
There were donations before, they just weren't tax deductible donations. And as an alternative to joining the Conservancy, like, the other option we had was to create our own organization. And if we create our own nonprofit organization, there's a lot of work that's involved administratively in order to maintain that, in order to abide by all of the laws that nonprofit organizations should be run, or we could have created a organization where we could deduct our expenses and taxes on the income either. But I think that using the Conservancy is going to be better for a lot of reasons, just for burden on our community. Like, we won't need to worry about running a nonprofit or for-profit organization. We can let them handle the finances for us and the legal side of things, which they have a lot of experience specifically with GPL. So there are ways we could do it differently. This just seems like the most sensible path forward based on what we're trying to accomplish.
Yep. So if anybody would like to leave additional feedback, you can read the full documents and the conversation in the Backdrop issue queue, issue 2753. Oh, Jen, you're muted.
Sorry, guys. So yeah, I was just saying we'll move forward on that tomorrow, after tomorrow, as long as nobody has any major objections. So that's really exciting. I think so. Sounds like everybody thinks so. All right, if there are no further questions or clarifications on that, let's move on to website related development tasks. So backdropcms.org is where we're putting a lot of focus right now, hopefully. I know Wes is working on a new theme. He hasn't been able to join us for the last few weeks. I don't know what that means about where the theme is standing, but it looks like we're starting to move forward with some of the other tasks, not waiting for the theme to progress. So Jeff did a bunch of work this week on getting us this widget for the homepage that'll show metrics on Backdrop usage and activity, which I think will help communicate to people that this is a living, breathing, thriving community, which is great. And I'm planning on pushing the latest change to production after these meetings today, so we can see those numbers, which will be great. And then we have a bunch of other stuff that we want to do to the homepage, including reorganizing the menu, which is going to require a little CSS, adding a showcase section, and then other little updates where necessary. And we could use help on those if anyone is interested. Also, we could check in with Wes and see where he's going on the new theme stuff and get some of our more designs for the new homepage implemented across the site. All right, let's kick it to Nate for Backdrop CMS progress itself.
So as we reported the past meeting or so, let's start at the beginning. The next bug fix release of Backdrop will be 1.7.2. There are no current outstanding major issues that need to be resolved in the current stable release. And so we've got the issue tracker for 1.7.2. You can find a list of issues that are either close to being ready or those that are of higher importance to put some focus into bug fixing. But there's currently no outstanding issues there. And as always, we can always put in user experience improvements and other bug fixes of any kind. If you encounter something, file a pull request and market needs review, and that can go into any bug fix release anytime. But we have no date estimated for the next bug fix release, just on an as-is-needed basis. 1.8 is the next minor release. That release will be coming out September 15th, 2017. As of this point, the 1.8 release hasn't had a lot of variation in it from the 1.7 release, but we're closing in kind of on when, if history is any indicator, when we start doing a substantial amount of work on the next minor release. As a reminder, code freezes, feature freezes for releases always happen on the first of the month. It is almost the middle of July, which means that we have essentially the month of August and the remainder of July. So basically we have a month and a half before we reach feature freeze on 1.8. So the feature freeze is on September 1st with the release on the 15th. And the items that we're hoping to achieve in this next release, we've got 3 items in particular. Layout relationships, issue 2134. The status on layout relationships is essentially unchanged. There hasn't been any new progress on that. We have some working code, but it needs additional work. Media library or better file handling capabilities. There's a meta issue in issue 1448. Is this true, Jen, that the fieldable file entity bundles, I didn't see that there was a change there. Has that happened in the last week? Or has it been there for a while?
No, it's like 2 days, I think.
Oh, awesome. I missed that in my reviewing. Oh, that's fantastic. Awesome.
First drafts at the board.
What was that, Jen?
I don't think it's ready for like a merge quality review, but I think it's ready for having some more eyes on it.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like, yeah, he introduces different file types as well. So this looks like a fairly major set of changes. Awesome. Well, that's really exciting. Yeah, fantastic. So that issue 2632 is a sub-issue of the overall media management issue, and it's the first item in the kind of the hit list. Although some of these meta items in 1448 really could be done out of order or in parallel. But that's awesome to see that there's progress moving forward on that. Okay, and the third item that we have for 1.8 is configuration translation or config translation. It's issue 704. And we have a basic premise laid out, but there hasn't been implementation pushed forward yet. That's something that I'm personally hoping to put some effort towards, but I don't have a timeline for execution on that. There's also the GitHub issue tracker for 1.8. There's a number of issues that we always make sure that we go through before any any minor release, including like updating our libraries like CKEditor and jQuery and things of that nature. And also less important issues that are kind of just would be nice to implement in a future version that have been tagged as 1.8. So you can check that out on GitHub under the 1.8 milestone. We also recently have been starting to think about what we want to do for Backdrop 2. Backdrop 2, it says here in the agenda, January 15th, 2018. But I say it every week that we're not strictly beholden to that date. Although some of us, Jen in particular, is excited about the possibility of having a Backdrop 2.
We need it for marketing purposes. We don't need it for technical purposes. How we're trying to like handle both of those needs is undetermined.
Right. Yep. Some functionality or concepts that might be into Backdrop 2 include automatic updates. We connected with a contributor, Mike, at Twin Cities Drupal Camp and talked about his Curator project that he's building out in hopes that it could be used as a general PHP software updating tool, but in particular has been working to make it function on Backdrop, which would make it so that we could have automatic security updates applied to core itself. And that may be some software that we might consider integrating in the future. An upgrade or import from WordPress functionality. There's an outstanding issue for this at 10:55. Did we not mention the Bien module yet? I don't think we did. Well, anyway, Jeff has been doing some work on a module called Bien, B-I-E-N, which stands for Backdrop Import Export Nodes. Is that right? Yeah. Haha, yes. But Jeff, do you want to talk any more about that?
Yeah, I demoed it maybe 3 or 4 weeks back for you guys during one of our meetings. And so basically from that meeting, we decided to put it in Contrib and see how it goes. So there's 4 or 5 issues up in the Contrib project that are definitely things that we'll have to handle to be more robust for content handling. So if anybody's interested in that kind of problem, check out those issues, check out the module, and either fire up more issues or work on some of the existing ones.
Awesome. I was not aware that it was called BN module originally, maybe because it was just a demo. But now that it's up in Contrib, awesome. That's great that we can get a wider audience using it there. Great. Anything else that we should mention, Jen, regarding the backdrop status update?
Not that I can think of. Does anyone else have anything
Okay.
they want to add? Nice short meeting today.
All right, yeah, that moves us into general discussion or Q&A. If anybody has anything unrelated to items in the agenda that they'd like to bring up or things we'd like to talk about in future meetings, speak now. No? Okay. All right, well, I think that's it then. Let's break and we can coordinate and discuss and work in the GitHub issue tracker and on Gitter. So thank you guys all very much for joining the meeting this week, and talk to you guys next week. Okay, bye guys.
Thanks, everyone.